BTS News. Behind the camera that attracts millions of eyes, there is a story that has never been fully revealed, a story not captured by any lens, but clearly engraved in the hearts of fans. Jikook, a name born from the union of two BTS members who are so loved, Park Jimin and Jungkook, always a topic that arouses curiosity. Their relationship, both as group mates, best friends, and two souls who understand each other, it has been an unquenchable source of warmth and speculation. But there is a side of them that has never been caught on camera, a side that can only be felt, not seen. And here's the story, a reality the world should know. For more than a decade together, Jikook has gone through tough times, happy moments, and everything in between. From the roaring concert stages to the quiet spaces behind the scenes that only they know, their closeness has grown beyond the word colleagues. However, there are moments that the camera does not capture, moments that happen in silence, in a brief gaze full of meaning, in a brief grasp that may never be noticed by anyone but the two of them. Jimin. With a charming gentleness and a smile that can melt anyone's heart, often a home for Jungkook, the magnate who is known to be full of energy, but it harbors a depth of emotion that is rarely shown vividly. While the world sees them joking on variety shows or supporting each other on stage, they also experience quiet moments full of honesty. Words are no longer needed to explain how they feel. One of the most moving moments happened not at a concert or at an awards show, but on the way back to the hostel after a long day. At that time, it rained heavily, and the BTS members returned home exhausted. No cameras recording, no fans watching, but in a quiet car, only the sound of rain and their heavy breathing, Jimin calmly leaned his head against Jungkook's shoulder. And Jungkook, without a word, grasped Jimin's hand. No lens could capture such a meaningful silence, only memories they keep together. There is also a story from a staff member who once worked with BTS, who then shares his experiences anonymously. He said that one night when the members were getting ready to go home after a midnight rehearsal, Jimin is seen looking for Jungkook in the corner of the room. Jungkook apparently sat alone, looking jaded and frustrated after a heavy vocal training session. Jimin walked up to her, without saying much, just sat next to her and was silent. Long after the others left, they were still there. The staff said they didn't talk much, but the way Jimin patted Jungkook on the back, and the way Jungkook nodded slowly, makes me believe there is a deeper bond between them. Something that even I could not fully understand. The world may never see how Jimin reminds Jungkook to eat when he forgets because he is too busy in the studio, or how Jungkook secretly kept his distance from people when Jimin was feeling uncomfortable in the crowd. The world may not know how they write each other short messages containing only the word, "You okay?" in the middle of the night. The world sees only what it is allowed to see. But reality is much deeper. They protect each other not only because they are one group, but because they understand each other's wounds and weaknesses. Jimin knows how the world can be hard on Jungkook, the golden magnate who is expected to always be perfect. Jungkook knew how Jimin hid his insecurity behind his bright smile. In stressful togetherness and busy schedules, they find an escape in each other's existence. One source from close circles even mentioned that during the difficult period leading up to the draft, Jungkook had a hard day, full of anxiety and uncertainty. Jimin, who first understood the pressure, became the only one who could make Jungkook feel calm. They spent nights talking on the dorm balcony, just the two of them, under the stars. No camera, no documentation, just two best friends trying to strengthen each other in fear of separation. Even more touching is the fact that they never overexposed this relationship. Nothing far-fetched, nothing exaggerated. Jikook remains Jimin and Jungkook, two people with all their complexities taking care of each other, love each other, understand each other more than anyone. Army, of course, has long felt this. They don't need visual proof to know that the love and affection between Jikook is real, even if not all love has to be romantic in nature. The love they have could be the highest form of affection, one that doesn't demand validation, one that doesn't need to be announced, but it remains strong even if it is not visible. That is why this story is worth telling. The world should know that there are little moments that are never captured on camera, which holds more honesty than thousands of portraits on the screen. And right now, as time goes on and life takes them on new phases, those invisible moments remained alive in their hearts. Maybe one day, when they're no longer standing on stage together, and the world begins to forget the spotlight that used to be so bright, they will sit together somewhere, remember everything that ever happened, including those moments that only the two of you know. Because in the end, it's not just what you look like on camera that matters. The unseen, the unrecorded, that is the most honest. And among all the stories about friendship and togetherness, Jikook's story is one of the most heartfelt, one that touches the heart because it is not on display. The days go by, and the inevitable changes come like the seasons. One of the most memorable moments for those closest to BTS occurred on the last day before Jungkook was officially drafted into the army. The members were busy with their preparations, but the atmosphere in the dormitory was different, quieter, heavier. Between a far-fetched laugh and a hug too quickly released, only Jimin realized how Jungkook was hiding his nervousness. That night, before going to bed, Jimin knocked on Jungkook's door. He had nothing but himself and one purpose: to serve. They sat side by side on the floor of the room, illuminated only by the dim light of a table lamp. Jungkook didn't say much, just looked down, fiddled with his sleeves, and finally spoke slowly, "I'm scared." Jimin did not advise. They don't even try to explain it with nice words. He just raised his hand and touched Jungkook's shoulder, then said, "I know, but I'm here." A few days later, when Jungkook officially served his military duty, Jimin uploaded a photo of the sunset without captions. For most people, it's just a normal sight. But for some army, it is a symbol of silent farewell, see you in a world without words, but it feels to the chest. During his military service, Jimin was often mentioned as the member who most often sent personal messages to Jungkook. One of the military staff who did not want to be named once told that he saw Jungkook sitting alone after hard training, then opened his phone and smiled a little after reading something. He said, "I don't know what the message is." But obviously, the smile is not from a successful workout. It was from someone he missed. And time goes on. Jimin keeps himself busy with his musical projects and solo activities. But anyone who watched him closely would have noticed that there was something different in the way he stood on stage without Jungkook by his side. It was as if there was an empty space that could only be filled by one person. When Jimin finally attended an event and was asked who he missed the most from the members, the answer is short: "Maknikyu." Not explained further, not added additional sentences, just one word full of meaning. The army knows, the world knows, that there are feelings too great to describe in words. Their relationship is not perfect. There are days full of silence. There are times when they are away from each other due to busyness or pressure. But behind all that, Jikook always come back to each other not out of obligation, but out of choice. In a world that demands everything to be seen, they choose to keep things just for themselves. Currently, with each serving his term, many soldiers are looking forward to their reunion, not just to see the two on stage again, but to witness flashes of warmth that so far can only be felt, not seen. And when that moment comes, there will probably be hugs that seem commonplace in the public eye. But for those who followed this story from the beginning, it wasn't just a hug. It was a silent promise kept. Promise that although time, distance, and obligation separate them, their hearts are never far away. Because Jikook's story is not about an idol couple who look cute in front of the camera. It's a story of two human beings who understand each other in a silent way, loving each other in a form that doesn't have to be labeled.